I'm here to tell you that the entire concept of a knowledge of God and His Word to mankind that has been arrived at systematically is inherently flawed. Now, this is going to hurt your head a little bit. So I want to try a little further, not too far, I hope, to articulate this particular line of thought. Modern systematic theology was a response to the threat of the European Enlightenment of the early 1700s. And it sought to gut the church of its spirituality by means of ushering in secular humanism to replace it. Since this was the era when intellectualism and the scientific method were established as the best of all possible protocols for the discovery of truth, the church felt pressured into formulating a systematic method to present itself. The hope was that it would be intellectually acceptable to the leaders of this new enlightened society. And the system that was created was called theology, and it sought to divide and to separate the essence and the practice of Christianity into about 10 categories. And each category was given a fancy academic name, and the church endeavored to answer a series of key questions about Christian beliefs that each of these 10 or so categories would naturally ask. At the end of the day, the answers to those questions formed the basis for the interpretation of the Bible. The church calls those answers doctrines. And thus the conclusions formed by these doctrinal principles, when they're used together, formed an intertwined and interdependent, unified theological system. Now, the downside was that if one of the doctrines that were part of the system changed or failed, the entire system was affected, since it's viewed as a whole. Thus, systematic theology judges, and it explains God's actions, and it explains His teachings as based on human logic, human reason. If we can't explain what God does and what occurrences and events we see in the Bible logically, rationally, then they either didn't happen or they're fairy tales. The same issue arises with systematic theology's tendency to want to find natural solutions to miraculous biblical events. However, here's the crux of the matter. This sort of systematic approach to knowing God or to learning the scriptures is not how the ancient Hebrews, nor how Judaism up to the time of Christ ever envisioned establishing the revelation of divine truth.